Now, with Dublin winning the semi-final against Clare, Dublin were in the All-Ireland final, and they were hot favourites because they're playing Donegal, who had never, ever been in an All-Ireland final. Obviously had to get tickets for as many as she could. Her brother had played with Donegal. Her sister was secretary of the Donegal Supporters Club, but there still wasn't enough, you know, for 14 of them with kids and grandchildren, and brothers and sisters and aunties and uncles. So there was a great chase for tickets.
Michael was mentioning at the start of this about the deafening ovation that greeted Donegal. It really was something else. They've waited so long for this, over 100 years, to finally make the breakthrough.
There had been a sense, definitely in the 80s, of Ulster teams turning up in Croke Park being psychologically weak. Certainly the Leinster champions or the Munster champions would never have worried about Ulster opposition. I would have been very friendly with Tommy Carr, the Dublin captain at the time, and there was this incredible sense of presumption around the city going into that '92 All-Ireland final. And I knew that Tommy was very concerned about this.
You know, we trained really, really hard, and we trained hard. We got it together late, and we trained hard, but we got it right because we weren't tired. And going into the match against Dublin, we always kept saying, you know, team meetings and everything else, that if we got over the semi-final, because we never had got past the semi-final before that, if we could get over the semi-final, we'd won the final.
And I remember the Donegal that year, and I do remember the semi-final, and particularly against Mayo, and it was a dreadful game. And I remember being at the match, and the whole story was the pick of both those teams wouldn't have stand a ghost chance against Dublin.
Maybe we got a wee bit of luck with the draw. We got a bit of luck that maybe that was the same year that Clare put Kerry out of the Munster Championship. You don't know, these things can just go right for you, and we got there.
The referee awards a penalty after 8 minutes of the first half.
I think every All-Ireland final turns on something.
That looked a very harsh decision. Charlie Redmond kicking, and he's put it wide.
And Dublin were on top early on, and they missed a penalty that day, and you know, maybe that's the way the game turned. It gave us a wee bit of confidence, and we finished well in the first half. And probably it's one of the days that every single player played well.
Both sides looking for the early advantages, and that was Keith Barr taken out of it.
I think Dublin didn't see it coming. I just think maybe their attitude was wrong going into it. And when you go into a match like that there, when things start going wrong on the field, it's very hard to change it.
So another wide.
Maybe when we look back on it, we had a lot of very good footballers. There were very talented footballers at their clubs, and they were very talented. But we made the breakthrough late, and you know, lucky enough to make it and get it. But it was late. Maybe if we'd have won one earlier, we might have got two. But I think we're lucky enough to get one.
The miraculous medal around his neck is obviously not working all the time, anyway.
Oh, you have little faith.
Well, the day of the All-Ireland final, I knew we were going to win the match. I don't know why, but I just felt that after the game I was going to be close enough to the referee or close enough to the ball to make sure I was going to have the ball as well. Tommy Sugar was the referee. I think he wanted the ball as well that day.
Martin McHugh there, anxious for the full-time whistle, and it's over! And Donegal has won the All-Ireland final!
We had a great tugging match at the end of the game, but I wasn't going to let go, and in the end up the crowds came out jumping on me, and he had to let go to get off the field. So why I thought like that, I don't know. And I have it 17 years later. I still have the ball here. It wasn't used since. I kept it and made sure I held on to it that day. Even when I went up to get Sam, I had the ball in my hand going up against Sam.
This Martin McHugh, in my view, one of the very finest Gaelic footballers we've seen over the last 10 years.
And I've got all the lads to sign and everything else. So it's great for me to have him, for maybe later on my family to having that there. So the longer it goes on, I suppose, it's great to have it.
But afterwards, it was chaotic. It was unbelievable. And our house, you know, we were putting up people coming down the stairs. I was on the early morning Ireland the next morning, so I'm coming down the stairs at 5 o'clock in the morning or whatever. There's a fella kind of asleep on the stairs, and as I go past me, he says, "Who are you?" And I says, "I own the house, who are you?" There's bodies everywhere, but that kind of encapsulates the chaos that goes with a county winning.
All I can tell you, what it means to Donegal to win that All-Ireland is, yet when you go out, people still come talking to you. When you go away from home, especially to Mary, you meet Donegal people, that's all they talk about, is that All-Ireland victory, and you just like maybe at times to forget about it, maybe hopefully one another and forget about it. If you go into a bar, they'll buy you a drink. If days you even went to places with Donegal people, particularly away from home, and you might buy a dinner or something, the next thing the dinner's paid for. That's what it means. It meant everything to it, and I mean, yeah, they'll never forget it.
President of Ireland, President of Commonwealth Class game, clergy, and the people of Donegal, we have done it!
This was the Holy Grail. This wasn't a Dublin or a Kerry or a Galway or you know, the old aristocrats turning up and taking what they would have considered their rights. This was kind of, my God, we have reached the top of the mountain. And you could see it in Donegal people, the emotion of them that day. It was extraordinary.